show you something. A few years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago maybe. So I think I bought 4 sheets of arches, 76 by 56 centimeters. I think it is the 350 grams or 300 grams, something like that. I never used it. I bought it on sale. This was, I think, 4 years ago now. Damn, that was long ago. I don't know if I want to use this gorgeous, I don't know, I think this is rough or cold pressed. I really wanted to use this for this sketchbook because paper doesn't last forever, especially when it is not being used, and it will not stay usable forever. The glue usually is the first thing to deteriorate, so that means that the paper is no longer usable for watercolor after a few years. And it has already been 4 years. But this is also great paper for printmaking. And I also have like a project in line that may or may not involve watercolor. So I want to save the good paper for either printmaking or for that important project with watercolor. So I don't want to waste it on a sketchbook. At the same time, if I never use it as a sketchbook, then how am I going to know how it works or how it feels to work with it? And then I have here 2 strips, 26 centimeters by 76, I think. And I have 2 strips of that paper. And this paper is Moulin du Roi, also very good paper. Great for watercolor, great for printmaking. But this one was given to me by a teacher, I think. Yeah, so I have really good paper, but I'm very scared to use it, which means I should probably just use it and be done with it. Then the paper I'm seriously thinking about using right now is this Fabriano Watercolor Studio 200 GSM paper. It is not super amazing paper, but it is something that I know I truly enjoy for sketchbook work. I still have 6 sheets of 50 by 70 centimeters, so I still have a lot of it, and I can use it mostly for sketchbooks. I don't really enjoy it for printmaking at all, but for sketchbooks and watercolor I still find it very interesting, and even though it is not super amazing, it's great for practice, and I do need to practice right now. What I want to use for the cover is this old VHS cover. Now the VHS for this does not exist anymore, I think, so I already did the math. And I will cut pieces of paper that are 20 by 18. I'm going to mark that and cut the paper. So for each of the sheets of paper that I'm cutting, I will have a strip of 70 by 10 centimeters. And with that I may do another sketchbook, like a tiny one later on, or I can use it for tiny paintings. The press I use for printmaking is a bookbinding press, but I'm not exactly sure how to use it for bookbinding because I don't have a bookbinding course. But today I see a very clear use for it, and I think I'm going to use it for that. I believe all of these are pretty well marked. I'm going to begin cutting it. What I'm going to do is, instead of making the holes with a pin or a needle or something like that, I'm going to be using a pair of scissors to make small cuts. So instead of being a round hole, it's almost like a slit. So when you sew it, the moment you fold it, it blocks the thread in place. Now first we need to measure how much thread we are going to need. I don't want to have unnecessary, I really don't like how it looks. I'm going to be using some yellow thread. I'm not exactly sure what this is made of. These are leftovers from my great-grandfather's sewing machine company. Nowadays my grandfather still has a sewing machine repair and shop. But yeah, since there is so much thread, I'm going to put it to a use. And I really like the yellow thread. It is very sturdy. We're going to measure. Usually what I do is the size of a signature with an extra 2 or 3 centimeters, and then I multiply it by the number of signatures I have. So in this case it's 18, 20. I think it's 20. I need to count them again, but I think it's 20 signatures here. So I will multiply this by that amount, and then I'm going to wax the thread. I'm using beeswax, but I'm not exactly sure what wax you have. I think candle wax could work. Not exactly sure. Now that we have 20 lengths, you want to add at least extra 30 centimeters or so, just to give you a margin so you can still... It's margin? Margin. Oh. So here's my needle. First I have here a little ball of beeswax. You can use whatever wax you have, I think. But beeswax is like the easiest, I think, to work with, and traditionally this is what would have been used. This is a lot of thread, but maybe I should have cut this down. Just need to make sure that your whole thread is waxed, because this will make a really big difference when you're sewing. It also makes it easier to put the needle through the thread, or the thread through the needle. I'm not going to tie a knot at the beginning, so I can then tighten it and give it a knot after I've done at least 2 signatures. Now what we want to do is pass the needle through the other thread from before and put it in the next hole. As you can tell, my technique is not great. I don't sew a lot of things, even though I really enjoy it. And this is basically what you're going to do throughout the whole sketchbook. So every time you have one of these exposed threads, you want to go under it and then into the next hole. So you always want to keep the threads, the exposed ones, intertwined. Okay, so now that or in this case I reached, but where the 2 signatures are already bound, and you have one loose end and one end that is connected to the needle, and you basically want to tie them together as securely as possible with as little bulk as possible, just to make sure they don't flop around. You want to pull up on them to get them pretty secure, but you don't want to pull too hard so you don't shred the paper. Usually I just do a double knot because I think the rest will be quite secure by the rest of the signatures, and the fact that it goes in a zigzag way. So yeah, now we just have to repeat this for all the others. Okay. Não vais roubar isso, pois não? Soutora? Okay, so now this is a bit overexposed, so you can see her eyes. I doubt she's going to let me keep sewing, but I want to keep sewing, so I'm going to try anyway, even though she's on my lap. Tirar isto daí. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you sew a sketchbook with a dog on your lap. Ai, soninho. I finished sewing the rest of the sketchbook, and that means that we are ready to glue the book itself to the cover. I'm going to be using this light blue paper to make the inside of the cover, and I'm going to be using regular wood glue, not sponsored. I wanted to keep this part and just make it close, but yeah, no. I want to get a very clean edge, so what I'm going to do is first I will glue this and then cut it with an X-Acto knife to make it as nice as possible. I'm just going to take off this bit of the edge, and then over here the same. Now I want to lay this here and see how it fits. So I'm going to glue it like this, and I'm going to fold it before gluing, because that will make things easier. And I'm going to glue one side down here and the other side to the block. Okay, so I'm going to start by gluing this to this, and then I'm going to put it under some weight, in my case inside the press, but you may want to use heavy books, for instance. Hey there, good morning. Sorry if you can hear the sirens, but I'm currently with the window open. But yeah, I think this worked out pretty well. The pressure of the press really helped. But if you have a really heavy stack of books or something like that, you can use it for these things. And yeah, today we are going to glue the block into here and call this sketchbook done. Wow! I think I'm going to glue this like just close to the spine. Okay, the sneeze started. Let's close the window. Oh, careful with X-Acto blades. But I probably don't have to tell you this. You probably already know that X-Acto blades are dangerous. I don't know, it feels so nice to finally give a use to this. I'm going to be using a tiny brush. Well, I'm going to use the leftover glue that is on the lid, because why not? And I'm just going to lay a strip of glue, like about a centimeter, maybe less. I want it to be very secure, but I don't want to go overboard with it. Oh shit, I forgot about this. Like the spine of the book, the spine of this is larger than the book, so I will need to make this round somehow. Yeah, I think it's good enough. I'm going to put it on the press. I will put it in between the felts this time because I don't want to damage the paper of the cover, you know. It wasn't very problematic before, but this will be a lot of pressure, I think. Great, I will check on my pancakes and see you later. Oh. Here's the sketchbook. Can you see the huge mistake I made? I should have added way more paper. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this got glued. I feel it is pretty secure. Oh, and I want to show you the pockets. They're just regular pockets. I think they are going to be very useful. And I have another one. I only have two. Unfortunately, it did mark the pages around, but I think it is something that over time will be okay. And this is just a sketchbook, so it's okay, it's okay. I think you can look inside if you want. Ooh. Oh, can you see how I stitched it? I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. Yeah, so this is the finished sketchbook. I think I know exactly what watercolor palette I want to use with this. This is one of my favorite mini palettes, and this is just an old lip balm tin. This is from Lush. I'm not sponsored by them. To this day, this is one of my favorite watercolor palettes because it is such a nice trio of colors. Is that how you say? Triad. It is the Perlin Maroon, PR179, Transparent Yellow or Nickel Azo Yellow, so PY150, Cobalt Teal Light or Cobalt Turquoise or Cobalt Green, teal thing, turquoise. It's that kind of color, and it is the PG50. I've used it a lot and I really love it. And you know, it's such a tiny thing you can keep in your pencil pouch. And I think this goes really well with the color scheme of that sketchbook cover. I don't know why I like to coordinate the colors I use inside a sketchbook with the sketchbook itself, but I like it, so what can I do? Oh. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you try your hand at making a sketchbook as well. This is not a super instructional video, but on my channel I have a few videos about making sketchbooks if you want to have a look. And this is not too hard to make. You just need to practice and wax your thread. Well, bye!